Good morning.
Good morning.
The March 10th meeting of the Nash County Board of Commissioners is called to order. On behalf of the commissioners and the staff, I want to welcome you to the meeting. We begin our meetings with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For the invocation, you're welcome to stand and join us, or you're welcome to have your own individual prayer, or you can use this time for a moment of silence. At this time, Commissioner Freddie Howell will give the invocation, after which I will lead in the pledge.
Good morning. Let us pray, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We ask you for your guidance, your wisdom, support as we begin this meeting. We thank you for this day before us. Give us the wisdom and guidance as we conduct the county's business today. Please help us engage in meaningful discussion. Fill us with your grace, Lord, as we make decisions to impact the citizens, the staff, and the visitors of our county. We ask for your hand upon this business before us today, that we navigate the decisions and issues before us in a memorable way. Lead us and guide all that we do as all that we accomplish in this pursuit of truth and in the service of our community and county. These things, Lord, we ask in your name, Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen. Would you join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now move to agenda item number 4, approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes for approval this morning. Regular meeting minutes of February the 3rd, recess legislative dinner minutes of February 10th, special call meeting minutes of February 14th. Without objection from the board, we'll approve all with one motion. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
I move that we approve all the minutes
Commissioner
as written.
Belfield makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. We will now move to public comments. Agenda item number 5. A time for public comments is provided at the first regularly scheduled monthly Board of Commissioners meeting. This time is for the public to provide feedback to Nash County government. We're glad to hear from our citizens and ask that all speakers adhere to the following guidelines. Each speaker will be given 3 to 5 minutes for comments, with notification of time at 4 minutes. County Attorney Mike Gaynor will be our timekeeper. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals supporting the same position are encouraged to designate a spokesperson to address the board on their behalf. No individual may speak more than once at each meeting. Speakers are requested to address the board without reference to individual members and conforming to reasonable standards of courtesy. No dialogue between the speaker and the board should occur. Speakers must make comments from the audience podium and shall not otherwise approach the commissioners or staff without consent by the chair. Your comments will be noted, and if you have provided contact information, you will receive follow-up from our staff. If you signed up to speak on a subject that is already on the agenda, for example, a rezoning matter with a public hearing, please hold your comments until this matter comes up. This morning, we have one individual that has signed up to speak, and I will call on him now, Representative Alan Chesser, North Carolina House. Welcome, Representative Chesser.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last thing I wanted to do was spill my coffee, so I just had it over there. I appreciate the board's time this morning. So I had a whole speech prepared, but thanks to the good work of the chairman, we've been able to hash most of that out, I believe, and with a promise to continue working on that in the future. So I appreciate the work of the chair on that. While I do have the board's attention, I just wanted to bring up a couple issues, if I could. One, I would like to, if I may, I know that Commissioner Howell is going to be bringing up a resolution later. I want to go ahead and take the opportunity while I'm here to speak in support of that resolution, that historical marker for the bridge in Middlesex. I think it's a meaningful and impactful move by this board to show support for the southern end of the county and the communities that are affected in that area. So I put my full weight of support behind that resolution. Also, I have a follow-up, if I may. I know that general decorum doesn't allow engagement back and forth between the board, but I would hope that the chair would entertain. I want to ensure that there is another ordinance that's on the agenda today that revolves around some state funding, $2.1 million that was provided in the state budget. And I wanted to make sure that that facility is the facility that includes evidence storage for the sheriff's department and the warehouse for EMS in a joint effort. And I would pose that as a question to the board, and if I could get an answer before I have to leave this morning, that would be phenomenal.
Staff, we'll get you an answer as soon as we finish the meeting.
Okay. I believe that's agenda item number 21. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to stick around for.
We will see that you get a response, sir.
Okay. And just, again, thank you for the collaboration so far from the chair. There have been a few ongoing issues that the chair has been willing to work with me on as far as building unity and cooperation throughout the county and municipalities. I'm hopeful to see a bit of a culture shift moving forward, and want to make sure that the board and the chair and the general public are aware that we are working on these issues and we will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I just briefly state that this board wants unity. This board wants cooperation with all of our partners, and we will work collaboratively together to that end. So I just appreciate the representatives' cooperation and support, and I appreciate the support of this board. So with that said, we'll move to agenda item number 6. It's the annual State of the County Address. Past precedent has been that the chairman of the Nash County Board of Commissioners presents a State of the County Address in the March timeframe. I will be doing that today, but in a different format. Instead of a personal address, there will be a video presentation. In the video, I will give opening remarks, followed by comments in 5 focus areas: public safety, education, health services, capital projects, and economic development. Then I will give closing remarks. The presentation will be relatively brief, but it will be concise. I trust you will find it interesting and informative. It will be placed on the county's website for future viewing. Now we will see the video. Hello, I'm Wayne Outlaw, Chairman of the Nash County Board of Commissioners, and it's a privilege to share with you today the annual State of the County Address. On behalf of the commissioners and the staff, I'm excited to report on the progress we made in 2024 and the exciting opportunities on the horizon for our community. One significant change in 2024 came from the state-mandated tax revaluation. As a result of increased property values across the county, the Nash County Board of Commissioners reduced the tax rate from 67 to 63 cents per $100 in value. Today, we'll focus on 5 other key areas that saw substantial change in 2024 to meet the needs of our growing community. These areas are public safety, education, health services, capital projects, and economic development. Nash County made significant investments in public safety in 2024. A key initiative was a public safety pay study. As a result of this study and an approved cost of living increase, public safety employees received a $3.4 million increase in salaries and benefits across EMS, 911 communications, emergency management, and the sheriff's office. These salary increases, combined with focused recruitment efforts, have already helped reduce vacancies, most notably for patrol deputies and EMS positions. We anticipate further reductions in 2025. 2024 also saw the restructuring of our Emergency Services Department by separating EMS, 911 Communications, and Emergency Management Fire Services into 3 standalone departments that report directly to the County Manager's office.
With this transition, extra resources were available to enhance services within the Fire Marshal's office for better collaboration with our volunteer fire departments. Thanks to a grant from the Governor's Highway Safety Program, we added 4 new sheriff's deputies to focus on traffic safety enforcement and school zone monitoring while supporting our patrol officers. We've also made key capital investments in public safety, including the funding of new mobile radios and laptops for EMS, and new ventilators with CPAP and BiPAP capabilities for all county ambulances. We also purchased 2 quick response vehicles and funded 2 new fully equipped ambulances for our EMS fleet. On the facilities side, we completed the first phase of the $19 million Nash County Detention Facility expansion and renovation project. This phase included 2 new dorms with lockdown cells, as well as a new staff training room and locker room. The second phase, to be completed in spring 2025, will add an additional lockdown dorm, a new intake and booking area, and a nurses station, enhancing safety for both staff and inmates. In 2024, we saw a major change in education. The Nash County Public School System underwent a demerger, transferring 4 schools in Edgecombe County to the Edgecombe County School System. This process followed years of planning and collaboration with county and school officials, as well as legal advisors, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and input from the public. In February 2024, Nash County Public Schools received a $40 million needs-based grant to build a new Southern Nash Middle School, with an additional $4 million match from the county. The new school will accommodate 1,100 students and includes athletic facilities, while the existing middle school is expected to be renovated into an elementary school. These developments aim to meet the growing educational needs of Southern Nash County. Nash Community College utilized $2.6 million in state capital infrastructure funds to construct a new driving pad for its commercial driver training center. This new facility will support training for commercial driver's licenses, law enforcement, firefighting, and EMS personnel. Nash County donated 14 acres of land to the college for this expansion. 2024 saw significant strides in improving the health and well-being of our residents. The Department of Social Services strengthened its Child Welfare Division by increasing staffing and supervisory oversight to improve case management and outcomes for children and families. DSS also expanded access to critical programs such as food assistance, child care subsidies, and family support services. A major milestone in 2024 was the approval to consolidate the Nash County Health Department's 2 locations into a centralized facility on the UNC Nash Hospital campus. This move will streamline operations and enhance collaboration with our healthcare partners. The department also completed a community health needs assessment in collaboration with UNC Health and other local health organizations, identifying key needs for improved physical and behavioral health, education, and social support. Nash County made notable progress in addressing the opioid epidemic through the strategic use of settlement funds and working with local stakeholders. The creation of the Opioid Settlement Advisory Council is helping to guide the strategic allocation of these funds, which will have a lasting impact on our community. Nash County also tackled a number of capital projects in 2024. A $5.5 million contract was awarded for the construction of 19 miles of water main extensions as part of Phase 2 of the Northern Nash Water System project, with construction slated to begin in the first quarter of 2025. The county also advanced multiple projects enhancing recreation and senior services. This included the development of plans for a 7,000 square foot expansion of the Senior Center in Nashville and the completion of the second phase of Miracle Park, which includes additional parking, walking trails, a disc golf course, and a sand volleyball court. Work also started on the development of a dog park and a covered event stage that will be completed later in 2025. 2024 was a year of significant economic progress in Nash County, marked by impressive growth across various sectors. The region saw the creation of 220 new jobs and a remarkable $797.5 million in capital investment. Major local industries like Cummins Rocky Mount Engine Plant, LS Tractor, and Crump Naturals expanded operations, while new companies like GXP Storage and Bill Labs chose to invest in Nash County. Looking ahead, our project pipeline is equally promising, with more than 100 projects showing interest in the county. Projects that could generate over 22,000 jobs and potentially inject $13 billion in investment into the area. To ensure we are ready for this growth, the Work in Nash marketing campaign was launched to attract skilled workers and build a robust local talent pipeline. Nash County is also making strides in increasing infrastructure to support business development. The 100,000 square foot I-95 NC-97 shell building was completed in 2024, and we are well underway with a 40,000 square foot shell building at the Nashville Business Center. These investments position Nash County as an emerging hub for business and industry in the region. None of these accomplishments would have been possible without the hard work and dedication of our county employees. In 2024, we focused on being an employer of choice by maintaining competitive salaries, offering innovative benefits, and fostering a culture of employee engagement. To attract and retain top talent, we expanded resources for professional development and career growth. A highlight of 2024 was the launch of the Nash County Engagement Committee, which focuses on enriching the workplace experience for employees. The committee hosts events that bring employees together, fostering stronger connections across departments. As we look to the future, we remain committed to ensuring that our workforce thrives, helping make Nash County an even better place to live, work, and serve. In closing, 2024 has been a year of incredible growth and investment. The achievements we've made are a testament to the hard work and dedication of our community, our leaders, and our employees. Together, we've built a stronger Nash County, and we're excited for what the future holds. On behalf of the commissioners and the staff, a heartfelt thank you for your continued support. We look forward to the opportunities we will share in 2025 and beyond.
Thank you. I'd be very remiss if I did not recognize this board and thank them for their hard work and efforts in 2024. We had a good year, and God willing, we're going to have a better 2025. And I thank Jonathan Edwards for bearing with me as we prepared that video. Jonathan, thank you very much for your hard work. Let's give him a hand, too. Now we're going to move to agenda item number 7. We'll call on Tim Kerrigan, Human Resources Director, to make the presentation. I will tell you as Tim comes up that the board will go down from this side to here, and from this side Fred will lead them down to here. And as the employees come up to be recognized for the years of service, Commissioner, you are encouraged to congratulate, shake hands, whatever you feel appropriate, and then we'll take a picture with each employee, and then we'll move to the next employee. We're proud of our employees, and we want them to know that, and we want to show every appreciation of them that's possible. So, Tim.
Thank you, sir. Nash County values our employees and wants to take an opportunity to recognize those that have reached monumental milestones. Their unwavering commitment and valuable contributions are truly appreciated, and we are incredibly grateful for their continued loyalty. Years of service is based on service reached at December 31st of 2024. Generally, we would make this recognition in January. We are now doing it in March. Next year, we will revert back to January. We have had a few phone calls of people expecting that they were reaching that milestone. Some of those meet it this year, even into the year. So if there are any errors, we will correct that for certain. But as mentioned, we would like for everyone to come down, take a picture. Amber will take that picture. Following that, we will ask everyone who was presented to go out into the hallway where we will take pictures of each year's of service bracket, 15 years, 20, and a group picture as well. We will now start with
Let
15
me get
years
the
of...
board down first, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask Fred if you line up right over here, just leave your side right over here, and Fred, if you would leave your group right in here.
And of course, we understand that some have other commitments and cannot be here this morning. For each of those, we will recognize at a later date at their department. 15 years of service. First, we have Jamie Bragg. "15 years of service, Shamika Wade.
Tim, where you at? Get in here now. It's a large group, but hey, it's the right thing to do. We want them all involved in this, so congratulations.
Thank you,
Stay
thank you.
right here. We'll take a little picture. Yeah, come on. Okay, that'd be fine, whatever works best. This is the first time we ever did it this way, so we'll figure it out, right? Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
15 years of service, Cynthia Wells. 20 years of service, Helen Curry.
If they'd known we were gonna do it like this, they'd have been here, right?
Maybe they're so dedicated, they're still working, sir. 20 years of service, Jeremy Hardy. 20 years of service, Tamika Hill. 20 years of service, Audrey Jones. 20 years of service, James Parker. 20 years of service, Philip Parker. 20 years of service, Wendy Perry. 20 years of service, Kelly Portis. 20 years of service, Sylvia Silver. 20 20 years of service, Carla Smith. Twenty years of service, Tara Williams. 25 years of service, Gregory Adams. 25 years of service, Samantha Bailey. 20 also known as Mandy. "25 years of service, Lori Boone. 25 years of service, Katisha Cobb. 25 years of service, Tina Joyner. 25 years of service, Thomas Lamb. 25 years of service, Patsy Lewis. 25 years of service, Willie Morris.
'Everybody's getting it down pat now, right? Yeah. We know how to do it the next time. "25 years of service, Jacqueline Ricks.
25 years of service, Stanley Ricks. "25 years of service, Christina Rodriguez. "25 years of service, Esther Williams. Now, 30 years of service, Janet Alston. "30 years of service, Sherman Booth. "30 years of service, Bryant Fisher. "30 years of service, Sherry Perkison. "30 years of service, Sharon Williams. And we have one final to honor today, 35 years of service, Debbie Dew.
One more year so you time.
again, while they're taking their seats, if everyone honored would go out into the hallway, we will take additional pictures. And again, this is a tremendous monumental event because think of today's day and age when people do not stay at a current employer, and we have someone here for 35 years. Again, thank you all.
Okay, now we will move to agenda item number 8, public hearing on conditional rezoning request, Old Lewis School Road subdivision. Call on Planning Director Adam Tyson to present the request.
Good morning.
Morning.
This item is a rezoning of 110 undeveloped acres of land located, as the chairman said, on the south side of Old Lewis School Road, Middlesex. The request is to rezone the property from R40 Single Family Residential to RA30 CZ Single Family Residential Conditional Zone for the development of a proposed new 90-lot residential subdivision. That sketch plan is on the screen before us. At the request of the developer, the board will recall that it previously voted to postpone this public hearing from last month's regular meeting on February 3rd to today's regular meeting. The developer's attorney has once again requested that the Board of Commissioners postpone this public hearing to next month's regular meeting scheduled for April 7th in order to allow the developer additional time for consideration of the proposed subdivision design. The planning department notified the surrounding property owners of the developer's request to postpone today's public hearing with a letter mailed last week so that they could make an informed decision regarding their attendance at this morning's meeting. And at this time, I will pause my report and yield to the chairman to ask the board whether there is a motion to further postpone the public hearing per the developer's request.
Let me just ask this, because this has been asked of me by a couple of the commissioners. If this is postponed, then obviously we will not have a public hearing. But speaking to the attorney, if there's anyone here that cannot be here when this comes back in April, without a public hearing, is it appropriate to allow them to make comments?
It's not.
Okay. Then if you're here to speak on this matter, it's being postponed. I regret that we cannot hear from you this morning, but you can come back in April when this comes back before us. So any questions from the board on this matter? Any comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Leggett?
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Tyson. If the design of this subdivision being proposed is modified, does that mean that the request would need to go back before the planning board for their reconsideration before it comes to us?
So if the developer were to change to a totally different zoning district, for instance, instead of an RA30 zoning district to a proposed RA20, that would be the equivalent of them withdrawing this application and submitting a new one that would go through TRC, the planning board, and then back to the Board of Commissioners. In terms of just changing the design but leaving the same density, that would really be a determination that I, as the zoning administrator, would have to make whether that design change was substantial enough if they left it at RA30 as they're requested now, whether it needed to go back through the TRC and the planning board. However, if the board were to disagree with my decision, the board could always send it back as well. So a change in density, absolutely, that would be treated as a new submittal. A change in design with the same density would be more of a judgment call, but ultimately that decision would rest with the commissioners as to whether or not to send it back to the planning board.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Davis?
Adam, what you just answered to Commissioner Leggett, would that intervention from the board on your decision happen before the meeting, or would it happen at the meeting, which would prolong the people having to come back third or fourth time.
It would need to happen at the meeting. So if there were a minor change in the design that I didn't feel was substantial enough to re-trigger the entire planning board review, and the Board of Commissioners disagreed, then that would buy that applicant another cycle to go back through the process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to postpone?
I'd like to make a motion, Chairman.
Commissioner Howell?
I'd like to make a motion that Nash County Board of Commissioners postpone the public hearing and consideration of conditional rezoning request for property ZZ 250102, or known as Old Lewis School Road subdivision on R40 to RA 30CZ per the project's developer's request until the next Board of Commissioners meeting scheduled in April at 9 a.m.
Motion by Commissioner Howell, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Matter will be postponed to April the 7th at 9 a.m. We'll now move to agenda item number 9. Mr. Tyson stays at the podium to present the request for amendment request to Winters Road. It's a rezoning matter. Mr. Tyson.
This request is a conditional commercial rezoning matter. The subject property is approximately 4.13 acres. It is the rear portion of an approximately 28-acre tract of land owned by Infinity Properties Management. It's located at 9340 Winters Road, west of the town of Bailey and just north of the US Highway 264 bypass. And so it is, the larger 28-acre property stretches to the road here, and the 4.13 acres is just inside the red box here on the very back portion of the property. And of course, this is the 264 bypass running from left to right across the map. You can see from the zoning map on the right that this site was previously rezoned to an RCCZ, Rural Commercial Conditional Zoning District, back in September 2022 to allow for the operation of Infinity Cabinets, a carpentry shop. The property was subsequently developed with a 4,000 square foot workshop building. This aerial photo is not new enough to show that building, but it does correspond to the location of this address point that's shown on the map. That workshop building is served by a private on-site well and septic system. This site plan shows the boundary of just the property in the rear that is zoned commercial, the 4.13 acres. The existing warehouse building is outlined in black and shown in white right here. That is the only existing structure on the property. This request has been submitted not to change the boundary of the zoning district or to change the classification of the zoning district, but rather to just revise the approved site plan. Because this is a conditional rezoning, the commissioners have to act on any expansion of the existing operation. This particular expansion is brought about by the success of this small business. It's a request to add 2 new 4,000 square foot warehouse buildings. You see one of those to the north of the subject building, this blue rectangle, and then another 4,000 square foot warehouse building to the south. The greater separation between the existing building and the new building to the south is because the septic system is permitted in this area between these two buildings, so they can't be as close as these two. Also, behind each building, there is an additional proposed 384 square foot equipment storage building. This is a conditional rezoning, so of course, that allows for the attachment of reasonable site-specific development conditions with the consent of the applicant, and we will review those conditions prior to the board opening the public hearing. We are required to consult the 2022 Comprehensive Land Use Plan for Nash County. This request is partially consistent with the recommendations of the plan for the development of limited commercial land uses in this residential agricultural area, which that's the green designation shown on this map, residential agricultural area. Number one is consistent because the subject property has access to Winters Road, a state-maintained secondary road. Number two, the subject property has substantial spatial separation from any existing non-compatible land uses. You notice we don't have any suburban-type neighborhood residential development in the vicinity of this property. And finally, number three, the carpentry shop operation is limited in scale and intensity by the conditional nature of the rezoning. That's demonstrated by the fact that they have to appear before the board this morning for any sort of expansion. However, the request is also partially inconsistent with the plan's recommendations because, number one, the subject property is not located in close proximity to a major intersection, and number two, the subject property is not located in close proximity to any similar commercial land uses. However, I would note that both of those things were true back in 2022 when the board determined that this was a reasonable rezoning to establish this business at this location. This request may be considered reasonable in the public interest and not spot zoning because, number one, as I mentioned, there would be no change to the current land use permitted on the subject property. It would continue to be a carpentry cabinetry business. There would also be no proposed change to the current boundary of this existing zoning district. Number two, the relative isolation of the subject property, as well as its location immediately adjacent to the US Highway 264 bypass, makes it a suitable location for the noise that is associated with a carpentry shop. And finally, approval of the request would allow for the expansion of a successful small business. The Technical Review Committee considered the request to amend this rezoning site plan on January 30th and recommended approval, subject to the development conditions suggested below. The Planning Board considered this request on February 17th. There were no members of the public choosing to address the board with regard to the request at that time. Ms. Gabriela Garibe addressed the board on behalf of the property owner and applicant in support of the request. And the Planning Board ultimately voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request, subject to the suggested development conditions. The board has two suggested motions included in your staff report, a motion to approve the zoning map approval and a motion to deny the zoning map amendment. Both include statements of plan consistency and reasonableness. I do want to review the development conditions that would apply or that we would suggest would apply in the event of an approval. Most of these development conditions are the same as they were when they were established previously for the carpentry shop's initial construction. Number one, the subject property would be approved specifically for the commercial development of a carpentry cabinetry shop only. Number two, the subject property shall be developed in accordance with the revised site plan only. Number three, there shall be no outdoor storage of materials, products, or equipment related to the commercial operation, and that outdoor storage will not be permitted on the subject property, as it has not been since '22 with the initial rezoning. Number four, if I can call your attention to this green 25-foot wide strip along the western property boundary, because this operation will be expanding to be within 100 feet of this adjacent property line, on the other side of which are woods that are zoned residential. The property owner will be required for maintaining visual screening along that property line. So condition number four, now there is sufficient vegetation present here today, but condition number four states, in the event that the existing vegetative screening present on the immediately adjacent residentially zoned tract of land to the west of the subject property is removed, the owner-operator of the carpentry cabinetry shop must preserve, plant, install, and/or maintain a visual screening buffer along that shared property line that satisfies all the applicable landscaping and screening requirements that are referenced in our ordinance in order to effectively screen the facility from the view of that adjacent property. Number five outlines the permits that would be required to accomplish this expansion of the business, including a compliance permit issued by the Nash County Environmental Health Division, a zoning permit, building permits, and trade permits issued by the Nash County Planning and Inspections Department. Number 6, any significant or substantial modifications or revisions to the approved site plan may require additional review by the Nash County Technical Review Committee and the Nash County Planning Board, as well as reapproval by the Nash County Board of Commissioners at the discretion of the zoning administrator. And number 7, as with all conditional rezonings, this amendment would be invalid unless and until the petitioners consent in writing to all the development conditions that are attached to an approval, if the request is approved this morning. The applicants for the rezoning are present with us this morning for the public hearing. And with that, I will pause and take any questions that the board has on the staff report.
Any questions for staff? Mr. Belfield?
Since that, no changing in the zoning and the conditions for the use of this property is already outlined, why do we need to go through this that we are proposing now?
So one condition of the initial rezoning in 2022 was that the applicant had to abide by the site plan that they proposed at that time. And the only building that was on that approved site plan was this building shown in white here, which is the only warehouse present on the property. So because they are narrowly controlled by this conditional rezoning, they're required to come back and ask the board's permission in order to expand the operation to build the additional buildings. It's the addition of the buildings that requires the board's approval.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to go into public hearing?
I make one, sir.
Commissioner Howell made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We're now in public hearing. If there's anyone that wishes to speak on this matter, then please come forward. Is anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, I'd call for a motion to close the public hearing.
We close the public hearing.
I think Commissioner Wilkins made the motion. Mr. Belfield made the second. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Public hearing is now closed. Is there any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir, Chairman.
Adam, do you have any further comments you wish to
No,
make?
sir.
Got a motion from Commissioner Howell. Is there a second?
What was the motion?
You want to read the motion again?
I've got one, sir.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that the Nash County Board of Commissioners approve the amendment to rezoning conditional request for property CZ 220803, or identified as the Infinity Property Management LLC, located at 9340 Winters Road, west of the town of Bailey.
Darren, you good with that?
Second.
Mr. Arrington makes the second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move now to agenda item number 10. Mr. Tyson stays at the podium to present the request. There's a resolution attached to this request. Does the board wish this resolution to be read? Any member of the board wish the resolution to be read? Hearing none, just present the request, Mr. Tyson.
Thank you. The North Carolina Department of Transportation, excuse me, let me get to my correct slide. The North Carolina Department of Transportation District Engineer has provided a resolution for consideration and adoption by the Board of Commissioners in support of the addition of Middlesex Corporate Parkway to the state-maintained secondary road system. And you can see Middlesex Corporate Parkway highlighted in red on the attached map. This resolution was prepared in response to a petition submitted by the Nash County Manager to the NCDOT Division of Highways requesting the addition of the entire 1.57-mile length of Middlesex Corporate Parkway from North Nash Street up here, which is also South NC Highway 231, and then throughout the Middlesex Corporate Center and down here to US Highway 264 alternate. The North Carolina Board of Transportation requires the adoption of this resolution by the Board of Commissioners as a prerequisite for the addition of this road to the state-maintained secondary road system for purposes of future maintenance and repair. The NCDOT anticipates the actual addition of this road to the system in July or August of this year, approximately 1 year after it was actually, the paving was completed. The draft resolution is attached, and I won't read that as indicated by the chairman.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, I will state the requested action again is to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howell. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We will now move to agenda item number 11, and Mr. Tyson, you stay at the podium. Present the request. There's also a resolution attached to this request. It's in your agenda package. Is there any need to read the resolution? Hearing none, Mr. Tyson.
So this is also a request related to the state-maintained secondary road system. This is actually the request to delete a segment of road from the state-maintained system. The North Carolina Department of Transportation District Engineer has provided a resolution for the consideration and adoption by the board this morning in support of the deletion of the southernmost segment of Vaughn Chapel Road, which is highlighted in red, from the state-maintained secondary road system. This resolution was prepared in response to a petition submitted by the owners of all of the affected and immediately adjacent properties. That would be all the properties that are adjoining this public road right-of-way on the south side of Bend of the River Road here. And those are LaWanda V. Peace, William B. Blackman, and Myrtle B. Smith. Those property owners submitted a petition to the DOT requesting the abandonment of this 898-foot portion of Vaughn Chapel Road, which is State Road 1933. And again, it is only the portion on the south side of Bend of the River Road, and there are no homes or structures needing access to that public right-of-way on that side of Bend of the River Road. The district engineer reports that the abandonment of this portion of public right-of-way will not have a negative impact on roadway maintenance nor access to the adjacent property. Again, the Board of Transportation requires the adoption of this resolution by the Board of Commissioners as a prerequisite for the removal of this road by the state from the state-maintained secondary road system. And again, the draft resolution is included in your packet.
Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Davis?
Mr. Tyson, nothing we're doing here today seems to indicate that it gives any kind of access to the people along that road. So I'm really questioning why the county would take action to eliminate access to a parcel of land without somehow getting some type of easement for these people to get back to it. If you could make me feel a little better about that.
So these are not three separate property owners that own all these parcels. They are three property owners that each own a share of all of the parcels that touch. And so what I would anticipate is following the abandonment of this right-of-way, those property owners can grant themselves an easement to any or all of these properties because there's only one entity involved. It's not multiple different property owners. It's three property owners who all share an equal interest in all of the parcels there. And so when that right-of-way is abandoned, they can easily agree to grant themselves an easement across their own property to serve these rear properties to make them potentially eligible for residence in the future.
It totally takes care of my concern. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, the recommendation is to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to adopt the resolution for deletion of the segment of Vaughn Chapel Road from the state-maintained secondary road system.
Commissioner Leggett has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Commissioner Howell. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion? Is there a motion for approval?
Yes, sir. So moved.
I'm sorry. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 12. Call on Commissioner Freddie Howell to present the request.
Yes, sir, Chairman. If I may make a few notes on this before we proceed with.
Yes, sir.
On a fall morning on October the 6th of 1949, children from southern Nash County boarded a school bus en route to school like any other day. But it was a day that changed the course of history for many in our community and state. This bus accident has been recorded as the worst in state history and was in the southern Nash end of the county. 7 children tragically lost their life that day, and many others were injured. Those families were forever changed. Our hearts go out to them even now. I've spoken to some of the family members and students who were on that bus that day. This hits close to home for me. These families have deep roots in my community. They're friends and neighbors. Funerals for several of the children were held at our church at Union Hope Baptist, where I've attended for over 3 decades. Today, I'm humbled and honored to join my fellow commissioners in recognizing this tragic event and considering this historic marker for this site. After 75 years, it's important for us to join together and honor their sacrifice and memory. So what I'm asking the board to consider today is the office of Senator Lisa Barnes is seeking a letter of support for historical marker application to recognize this tragic accident that occurred on October the 6th.
Would you like to read that letter?
I will.
Thank you.
Dear Historic Marker Committee, on behalf of Nash County Board of Commissioners, we are writing to express our full support of the establishment of the North Carolina Highway Historic Marker to commemorate the tragic school bus collision with an ice truck that occurred in the community of Samaria, North Carolina, on October the 6th, 1949. This devastating accident remains one of the most significant events in our state's history, deeply affecting the families and residents of Samaria and beyond. The collision, which resulted in the loss of 7 young lives and injuries to many others, stands as a solemn reminder of the importance of school transportation safety. Many other counties across our state use this example as a catalyst to improve school transportation standards. The people of Nash County have preserved the memory of the incident for decades, ensuring the sacrifices lost and endured on this fateful day are not forgotten. A historical marker at or near the site of this collision would serve as an educational and commemorative landmark, providing future generations with insight into the significant event and honoring the lives affected. We strongly believe that this historic marker would contribute to the ongoing efforts to recognize and preserve the history of North Carolina, particularly those in highlighting the experiences among small communities like Samaria. We respectfully urge the North Carolina Department of Natural Culture Resources to approve this request. Thank you for your consideration. Do not hesitate to contact us would you require additional information to support. Sincerely, Chairman Wayne Outlaw.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. Is there any member of the board that wishes to comment? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the letter of support?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Howell makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Leggett makes the second. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The letter is approved. I know it will be sent to Senator Barnes' office. Thank you. We'll now move to agenda item number 13. Call on Chief Deputy of the Nash County Sheriff's Office, Alan Wilson, to present the request. Welcome, Mr. Wilson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good morning, Board. Thank y'all for having me this morning. What I have just handed you, I'm going to kind of walk you through. We have in-car cameras in all of our patrol vehicles, and over the last basically 10 to 12 months, we've had some difficulty getting the cameras to replace the ones that we have, and we've had new vehicles come out, so I'm going to just kind of lead you right down this memo that I gave you, and hopefully this will answer any questions. What we're doing is requesting the board's approval for a sole source contract for Axon in-car cameras. Axon is the sole source provider for these particular cameras that we're looking for, and Axon cameras provide critical enhancements to our operations for law enforcement. As you can tell when you see the DAR reports, you see the vehicle chases that we're in and the incidents that we're in. These cameras are extremely important to document what's going on with that, and I'll go over that here in just a second. Our current in-car system has been experiencing significant delays since July of 2024, leaving approximately 15 vehicles without the necessary in-car camera equipment. To address the issue, we obtained a quote from Axon Camera for 15 cameras, and they can get these cameras as soon as we get this approved, and they can have them installed in our vehicles so we can move forward with it. Also, just to add a note, the current camera system that we have, it's been having some issues. The system that we currently use is outdated. They don't make that anymore. They make another system, the EVO system, which is also a quote that I have attached to this at the back. And those systems are very similar in cost to the Axon systems. And the quote that we have from Axon is actually cheaper overall, even though it's very similar, it's cheaper because of the installation costs. In comparison, we have a quote for the current system, which I told you, which totals the $80,715, which excludes installation cost. The installation fee putting inside these vehicles is normally about $500, $800 a vehicle, resulting in additional costs of $7,500, $12,000. If we try to go with the new camera system that we currently have, you can see that it's already going to be somewhere around $87,000 to $90-some thousand for 15 cameras per the quote that's on the back. So we looked at Axon cameras, and the benefit of Axon cameras is the body cameras that we wear. The Axon in-car cameras sync right up to it. Everything syncs. When it loads, when you go search it for evidence, everything's tied together. If there's multiple vehicles involved in an incident, it ties that along with the body cameras all together. So everything is tied together. You don't have to worry about them getting out of the car, not having a mic pack that's working. Everything's tied right off the body camera. So that's the beauty of trying to go to the Axon camera system. So we obtained a quote for a 2-year payment plan. It's a 3-year contract, but we found a way to pay it in 2 years with it. And the total cost for it is $87,432.83 with the following breakdown of $75,610 for the first year. And we've already got the funding for all this. We're not asking the county for any funding. We've already got all the funding. And the second year payment of $11,822. And what's great about this is the installation cost is also included. Axon to come down, put it in every one of our vehicles. If something happens over 3 years, they'll come back and replace that camera for us. So we actually purchased these cameras. So after 3 years, we have these cameras. We don't have to go back and buy any more for those particular cars. What we're looking for is going forward, is we buy cars every year, we'll just buy a camera to go with that car, and hopefully we can just add on Axon, because we gotta buy camera systems to put in these cars. So as you flip to the back, what's the benefits of it? Axon cameras, seamless integration. The Axon system integrates with our existing body cameras, allowing for more efficient evidence collection and case management, and that's critical when you have to get things together. Reliability, service, and maintenance. It provides installation and ongoing maintenance throughout this 3-year contract. Additional features, there's some capabilities. It costs a little more. We're not asking for that right now, but you could go to live view. So, for example, if somebody's in a car chase, a supervisor could tag right in and start watching that chase as it's going on. But that's an additional cost, and we have to figure out how we pay for that. But it's obtainable with this type of system. So our goal is to transition to Axon system gradually by purchasing additional cameras as needed. This phased approach will help reduce the financial burden of an immediate full system replacement while ensuring our fleet is adequately equipped over time. Because if we went and tried to equip everything with Axon cameras, it would be a tremendous cost. I think we had a cost of somewhere around $800,000 if we did that. That's way too much cost at one time, so we're going to try to implement it gradually as we go, because we have to buy cameras anyway. The importance of in-car camera systems, we already talked about. Evidence support, providing crucial video evidence for court, liability protection, ensuring transparency and accountability for our officers in the community, training and performance review, enhance officer training and improving policing practices. So I appreciate your time in looking at this, and if you'll give us the approval for the sole source for this contract, since we already have the money, we can go ahead and move forward and get our cars equipped with these 15 cameras that we so importantly need to document what's going on.
That was a very detailed presentation, and we appreciate the good work of the Nash County Sheriff's Office. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Davis?
go ahead, Ms. Legg.
Okay, I've got a few questions. Is the current in-car camera system the Axon brand?
It's not. It's called Digital Ally.
Okay, all right.
That's what we currently have. We have a cloud service for that, and that's what we have been trying to purchase over the last almost a year. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to get it. The old model that we have was phased out. They wanted to go to a new model called the EVO system. That system has some similar traits of the Axon that we're looking at, but you saw the price of that and the time delay of getting that, because I'll try to get that as well.
Okay, and how many cars will still need to be upfitted with these cameras?
Once we get
if this is
these,
approved?
this will catch us up.
Okay.
Because all the cars that we had last year that we purchased and we had outfitted, this will catch us up with that. And then, so next year, as we purchase cars, whatever we get in our budget, we need to add cameras to those cars as well. So every year is an ongoing process that we add cameras to the cars.
Okay, and then my last question is more for staff than for you. And are there any other additional measures other than approving this motion that are needed for our records to justify the sole source process for this purchase?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Chief Deputy, a couple of other questions. To expand on what Commissioner Leggett said, I know you're getting 15 now, so how many more do we have in our fleet? Approximately 100 of them, I guess?
You talk about how many cameras are currently in the cars that we have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'd have to give you a ballpark estimate on that.
That's good enough.
You know, because what we have done is we leave the cameras in. We used to take cameras out when you had somebody that was in another position other than patrol, and we don't think that's a good thing because they're involved in activities as well, and it needs to be documented. So between the fleet that we have, between our patrol and our civil and the other divisions, I'm going to make an estimate, it's probably somewhere around 60 to 70 total cameras, but they're already outfitted. It's these 15 that we'll need to pull off.
Yeah, I understand that. So the intent to replace those other 60, will you be doing it as you replace that car?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I understand that.
So what we'll do, we'll leave the camera in the car, and normally we leave a car online 5 years, 6 years.
Right.
So by the time a car is going 5 or 6 years online, the camera system that's in there is throwing good money after bad to take it out and try to put it somewhere else because the camera's already dated.
Understand. The sole sourcing, which has always bothered me just a little bit, but was there any kind of, normally we get this request when we've got a state contract we're going to go, or some other county has gone through the motions to identify this to be the right one. Was there nothing you could piggyback in that regard, rather than us just go on it on our own?
No, sir. I think we have been wanting to go to Axon cameras for probably a couple of years now, right? The reason that we have not even presented anything to the board is because the initial quote that we got to go to Axon cameras was like $800,000, maybe more, because we wanted to transition all over. Because the body cameras that we use, the tasers that we use, everything's tied into Axon. So the camera system that we used, you could buy one camera and put it in a car, pay for the upfitting, and the total cost for that was somewhere around $4,300 a car, right? Then you had to pay for Now we got to pay for the storage because they no longer make those kind of cameras. So you got to have some kind of cloud storage, and that's an additional cost that we've already worked out with Digital Ally on that. However, the Axon camera system ties into everything that we currently use. You got to use some type of camera system, and the EVO system with Digital Ally is going to cost the same amount of money, if not a little more, than the Axon. I asked them to reach out to Axon and see, could we buy individual cameras? And instead of purchasing, getting them on a lease, could we actually buy the camera so we could leave it in the car once we pay for it? And so they worked that out and said, yes, we could, and they would give us these 15 for the price that they have. And by that, it's actually competitive with the EVO camera that we already have been purchasing. We just haven't been able to get those cameras because they've been delayed on getting them. All right, so I don't know, I don't think that answered your question, but hopefully it helps the board understand the reason that we want Axon is the system that we have is two different systems between our body camera and our in-car camera, and we want to go to something that ties right in together. And they will sync up together for a case. So if you got multiple cars in a car chase, or whatever the case may be, it all links together. When they get out and they have to use any type of technique to apprehend a suspect, it all ties in from the body camera to the in-car, everything ties together. It has evidentiary purpose for that. So in order to get Axon cameras, you got to go through Axon, and Axon's the only one that sells these cameras. So,
And understand, I'm not questioning what you're doing
Right,
at
I
all.
understand.
It's not my place to, nor am I qualified to. It's my concern that we make sure we meet the purchasing laws of North Carolina with this size purchase under a sole source. If the staff is going to do the homework to do that, I'm certainly fine.
okay.
It's not what you're doing at all.
I got you. Yes, sir. So whatever the county manager needs from us, we'll gladly assist in it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Commissioner Wilkins?
I'm just confused. You said you all already have funding for it?
We do. Because the reason we have funding, Commissioner Wilkins, is because we had money to buy these other cameras last year, and we couldn't get the cameras, so we couldn't buy them. And then the other part of the funding came from a legislative grant that we had that can apply for this, and it also come from some interest that we had on another grant as well. So we've already found the funding for this.
Okay.
Since we couldn't buy the cameras last year, otherwise we would have used this. If I could have got the EVO cameras last year, we would have went on with the EVO cameras, but we could not get the EVO cameras.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And if I understand you correctly, everything's going to be seamless now. So
Correct.
the backside of this, when it gets to doing the reporting of this for cases, it's going to be a cost savings to the county because all this is going to be put together seamlessly, so there won't be the manual process of having to pull body camera versus car camera and put it all together. So
Correct.
it's actually going to be, as far as labor, a savings for the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Commissioner Belfield?
Have the sheriff's, well, has the sheriff's department seen a demonstration of how these new would work with what you already have?
As far as this particular camera,
You're
have we had
recommending-
one to test and try? No, sir, we didn't get one to test and try, but I've had someone that's responsible for all this. He has gone out and researched it, and we've looked at these things. Of course, you've seen videos of it and so forth, but we've not had one to basically bring in and do an evaluation on. But all the feedback that we've gotten from these cameras they are like top-of-the-line cameras. No one has given us any negative feedback on it, if that makes sense.
So are you saying that you just seen a video?
Well, they have actually seen, some of them have actually seen some folks that have had it, but I've not actually seen it for myself. But what I'm understanding is these cameras are the top of the line of what we do, or what we need.
Well, I'm not asking that question that you yourself, but I'm thinking about the sheriff's department, how it merge in with what your existing system.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to bring Jack Thorpe up. He's been heading up this project for us, if it's okay, and let him speak and answer this question.
Mr. Thorpe?
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Just to give you an idea of kind of my experience and why I'm here, I've been here for about a year and a half now. I retired from the State Highway Patrol. My job at the State Highway Patrol was to be in charge of all the Viper radios on the system, but also work with the camera systems that the Highway Patrol used. During that time, and then during my time here at the Sheriff's Office, I've had significant experience with the Axon cameras. I was part of a coalition that worked with, say, Garner Police Department in Wake County, who just implemented these not long ago. I have seen them operate, and what I have found is that they're very reliable. The video resolution is much better than the current cameras that we have. And so from that standpoint, from my experience, especially with the ruggedness of these, I've seen these cameras get in wrecks, bad crashes, and still operate. Right now, you know, I'll give you an example. Deputy Bobby Knight was involved in a car crash last year. The digital Ally camera that he had, the front camera was not even working at the time. And the rear camera caught some of the video, but as soon as the crash occurred, it stopped. So you couldn't see anything after that. With these cameras, I've seen many crashes on these, and they will continue to run. So they're very rugged, they're very reliable.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just
Commissioner
like,
Davis?
I'd like to make it very clear that I'm not questioning at all what you're saying, because I'm not able to question that, nor should I question that. I just want to make certain that we are meeting our purchasing as dictated by the state of North Carolina in this process. That's all I'm after, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, completely understand.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this, subject to the staff verifying that it meets all state purchasing laws for the state of North Carolina.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Belfield. And again, just to restate the motion to make sure it's clear, we're approving the sole source in-car camera purchase. And Mr. Davis's comment, please, Madam Clerk, make sure that's noted in the minutes. But all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Thorpe. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Board.
Move now to agenda item number 14, approval of franchise agreement with Midwest Medical Transport. Call on EMS Director Dale Griffin to present the request.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here today before the board to present a new ambulance franchise agreement. North State Medical Transport was recently purchased by Midwest Medical Transport. As each of you know, North State Medical Transport has an approved franchise agreement with Nash County. The new company's name will be Midwest Medical Transport, doing business as North State Medical Transport. There have not been any changes with the local staff. Stone White is the operations manager. He's here along with the CEO. Carly is here. For any questions. The approval process ensures the compliance with local regulations and continued provisions of medical transport services to the citizens of Nash County. In accordance with Nash County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 12, Emergency Services Management, franchise agreements require the approval of Nash County Board of Commissioners for an entity doing business within the county. Furthermore, General Statute 153A-46 stipulates that no ordinance making a grant, renewal, extension, or amendment of any franchise may be finally adopted until it has passed 2 regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners. With this in mind, if these agreements are approved during today's meeting, they will be calendared on April the 7th Board of Commissioners agenda as well. I have an application has been received from the following entities attached from Midwest Medical Transport, doing business as North State Medical Transport. The EMS Division has reviewed the application and recommends the approval of these agreements for the remainder of FY25. And there we go.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Davis?
Nothing to do with approving it, but I know we have one of these contracts that is able to carry or take care of a higher level of service than the other two, if I'm not mistaken. Is this the one?
It is correct. North State is the one that provides paramedic ALS level transport.
Okay, that's all I have asked. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Commissioner Howell?
I've just got a general, not about the approval process, but just in question on this, do we, since it's a third-party service, do we require in the contract them to do background checks on the drivers annually?
Mr. Griffin?
I'd have to read the franchise agreements.
We can provide those if needed. We do that in-house, so if it's needed, we can provide that.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would need them to supply that for us.
Other questions? All right, hearing none, I'm going to read the recommendation again. Approval of franchise agreements. This will be the first of two approvals required by general statute, and it would include in the motion, Commissioner Howell, if you would make the motion, your comment about the drivers. So with that, is there a motion?
I make the motion that we do approve this franchise agreement with Midwest Medical Transport, doing business as North State Medical Transport, and that they provide us copies of the background checks for the drivers provided.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 15, monthly tax report. Call on the tax administrator, Marion Cascone, to present the request.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
In keeping with North Carolina General Statute 105-3507, the tax collector will be providing a monthly report showing the amount of taxes collected and the efforts being made to collect those taxes. This report is just for your information only, but it is recommended that you accept the report, so it will be noted in the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Cascone. As she noted, this is an informational item only. The request is that the report be accepted and noted in the minutes. Without objection, it will so be done. Thank you, Ms. Cascone. You
Thank you.
move to item number 16, agenda item 16, tax refund request.
Yes, there are no refunds this month. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Agenda item number 17, Ms. Cascone presents the request, report of unpaid taxes and tax lien advertising.
Yes, per North Carolina General Statute 105-369, requires the tax collector to provide all unpaid taxes that are a lien on real property. Again, this is an information-only report for your records. Also, we require that the governing board order, we ask that the recording body order the tax collector to advertise these property tax liens, which must be made at least one time between March 1st and June 30th.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? All right, the recommendation is to approve the report and order the tax collector to advertise 2024 property taxes that are liens on property at least once between March 1 and June 30, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Commissioner Leggett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howell. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Cascone.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 18, call on Grants and Intergovernmental Relations Director Emily Moore to present the request. Good morning.
Good morning. Alrighty, Nash County previously entered into a contract with Fred Smith Company for Middlesex Corporate Center Phase 2 infrastructure improvements. The original contract price was $3.8 million. The current contract price, including change orders 1 through 5, is $4.3 million. Change order 6 will decrease the contract price by $158,220.73 for a final contract price of $4,210,664.27. This final change order is to adjust the contract quantities to match those installed and to add additional contract time, 74 calendar days, due to previous change orders and correcting a design error. The recommendation is to approve change order number 6 with Fred Smith Company for Middlesex Corporate Center Phase 2.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Davis?
Maybe for Mr. Boone, the error that we spoke about, if I remember correctly, was covered by the design or not the county of Nash, is that correct?
I believe that's correct, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, you've heard the recommendation. Does it need to be restated? Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Howell. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Now move to agenda item number 19, calling Deputy County Manager Jonathan Boone to present the request.
Good morning, thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Boone.
So item 19, Nash County issued a request for qualifications late last year for professional engineering services related to the extension of an 8-inch water line along US 264 alternate to serve the proposed rail access industrial park, more commonly referred to as the Ammon site. This project is being funded using the funds received in conjunction with the North Carolina Railroad Company Build Ready Site Grant. Staff met along with Mayor Lou Harvey Lewis in Middlesex, reviewed those submittals. We received 2, and staff is recommending that Matt Gay and Associates be selected to assist Nash County with this project. And the recommendation is that the commissioners approve the attached contract with Matt Gay and Associates and authorize the county manager to execute same.
Any questions from staff? I'm sorry, from the board. Commissioner Davis?
Sorry to have so many questions this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Fine.
The percentage that I carry with me in my head for design services is normally in the 8-9% range. This is considerably higher than that. Am I forgetting that it is higher on utility work, or what makes it so high? It looks like it's more in the 13-14% range.
Well, in addition to the design, advertising, and bidding services, it includes the construction observation.
And I note that as well, but it still seems to be higher than what I'm used to.
I will say that the contract is consistent with the preliminary cost estimate that we received and utilized to secure the grant.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Davis?
I guess not this morning. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any other questions? Hearing none, does the recommendation need to be restated? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion.
Move approval.
Commissioner Howell made the motion for approval, second by Commissioner Belfield. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 20. Mr. Boone stays at the podium. There's a resolution attached to this item. It's in your agenda package. Does Mr. Boone need to read that as a part of his presentation?
No.
Mr. Boone, you do not need to read the resolution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nash County received a letter of intent to fund from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality in conjunction with the City of Rocky Mount Old Mill Road Pump Station Replacement Project back on February 19th of this year. The project is intended to fund replacement of the Old Mill Road Pump Station and related appurtenances in Rocky Mount. As you will recall, this project will be funded with state-directed grant funds the county received. There were 6 projects that were being completed by the county, 6 by jurisdictions or municipalities within the county. This is one of those 3 projects. Staff is recommending that the Board of Commissioners approve the attached resolution authorize the county manager to sign the resolution on behalf of the Nash County Board of Commissioners, and authorize staff to complete the offer and acceptance document associated with this grant. And again, this is the third of what will be 12 for the board to approve, and I'm bringing these to the board as we receive them back from the Department of Environmental Quality.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, does the recommendation need to be restated?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wilkins,
I motion, have you called? You know.
I'm ready for a motion.
I motion that the board approve the attached resolution, authorize the county manager to sign the resolution on behalf of Nash County, and authorize staff to complete the offer and acceptance document associated with the grant.
Motion by Commissioner Wilkins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belfield. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Boone. Stay at the podium for agenda item number 21, Nash County Emergency Services Building Design Professional. And there's a resolution attached to this as well. It's in your agenda package. Does it need to be read by Mr. Boone? Mr. Boone, make the request without reading the resolution.
Thank you, sir. The resolution to identify the design professional in your agenda packet is related to the design build bridging procurement process that the county proposes to use in order to construct the proposed warehouse on Winston Street that will be shared by our Emergency Services Department or several of our emergency service departments and the Nash County Sheriff's Office. In order to comply with this requirement, in order to use design build bridging, staff is recommending that Jonathan Boone be designated as a staff design professional for this project, and is recommended that the board adopt the resolution that was attached in your agenda.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Hearing none, you've heard the recommendation. Does it need to be restated? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any further discussion or any discussion at all? All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 22, Nash County Detention Facility additions and renovations change order. Mr. Boone makes the request.
Yes, sir. Last appeared before the board on November 4th, 2024, with change order 15 for the Nash County Detention Facility Addition Renovation Project. Today, I am presenting change order 16 for that project in the amount of $53,634.10. That change order addresses 4 items, the most significant of which includes enhancements to several security cameras at the jail and integration with the camera system that was installed as part of this project, and the replacement of 2 smoke evacuation fans, one in dorm 4 and one in dorm 5. This will result in a change in the contract amount, again, of $53,634.10 for an amended contract amount of $18,992,103.62.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Commissioner Davis?
Mr. Boone, the funding for this comes out of fund balance, I presume.
Yes, sir. The Finance Department will come up immediately after this item and ask for the board to approve a change order. And since you have given me a good segue, I will mention that the change order that the Finance Office will present also includes funding that's needed for some additional enhancements to the safety systems at the jail, or the life safety systems at the jail, in order to complete the project and receive the certificate of occupancy that is needed to put the new intake and booking area in dorms 4 and 5 back into service. So that total change order, which again, you will hear in the next agenda item, is actually $500,000. But this particular change order is $53,634.10.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
Ms. Boone, we are still operating under that change order above, what is 10% of the total original contract?
10% of the original contract, which was...
Was that the baseline that you used?
$17,635,000 $1,435. So this is 53,634. Change orders to date have been $1,303,034.52. So doing rough numbers in my head, this will bring change orders to $1,356,000. 10% would be $1,700,635. I said that number wrong, but it's less than 10%. I'm sorry.
All right.
8.2%.
But I would love to close this project out with total change orders being less than 10%. With the additional change order that I will likely bring to you at a future meeting to address those life safety enhancements on the west side of the facility, will push the total above 10%. But to date, we're still below 10%.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Howell?
Does what they just referenced, does that include the next item at 500,000 as well? Or is that going to be in addition to what they just mentioned?
The 500,000 includes the funds needed for this change order and the additional change order that will come in the next probably 45 to 60 days that addresses some additional smoke evacuation fans that are needed, 3 additional smoke evacuation fans that are needed on the west side of the facility in order for the Department of Health and Safety regulation to approve the project and allow the county to occupy that portion of the building.
Has there been a change in regulations since we started this project, or did this just get overlooked?
It was to use the verbiage of the architect, this has come up in a previous meeting, this was an omission, not an error. But no, the regulations have not changed.
Does the county have any recourse to go back financially against them, since we
In this
hired them and
case,
retained them for their expertise?
I'm not going to say no, I would let the county attorney weigh in on that, but what I would say, the architect's response would be that had these elements been included in the original contract, then that would have been incorporated in the amount, and they review the change order to make sure it's consistent with the expected cost for the work. I will say that we are using, and I don't want to get too far down the weeds unless you want me to, because I'm not here to, I was not presenting that item officially today, but we are using an approach to the additional smoke evacuation fans a little bit different than what we've used on the other elements of the project to try to manage the cost. We're using a construction change directive. We're actually requiring the subcontractor to submit monthly labor reports. We're actually tracking the labor, so hopefully the total cost will come in less than the $500,000 that the finance director will present to you in the next agenda item. But again, to circle back with your question, the architect would classify the additional smoke evacuation fans as an omission and not an error. An error would be something that was designed or called for in the project. We find that we have to take it out or it was done incorrectly and have to replace it. That would likely be something more in line that we would pursue remuneration from the architect. I will say in the case of the additional smoke evacuation fans, the engineering, the construction observation, the contract administration related to that change, the architect is not asking for any additional fee for work to design those systems.
I hope not.
Well, I'm not to say that, it's not to say that they couldn't, but they have not. But again, they would classify that as an omission and not an error.
And who's the engineer on this firm? And architect?
Mosley Architects, they basically do all the jail work in the state of North Carolina.
So they are subject matter expert, but these were omitted from it.
They pretty much do all the jail work in North Carolina, new and renovation.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Hearing none, does the recommendation need to be restated, or are you clear on it?
Clear.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 23. Thank you, Mr. Boone. Ask Finance Director Melody Eason to present a request, detention facility renovations and expansion, capital project ordinance amendment. Good morning, Ms. Eason.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I have several project ordinances. I'll do one at a time and let you approve them. The first one is related to what Jonathan Boone was just speaking of, the detention facility renovation and expansion. This is submitted for approval to budget $500,000 for Phase 1 of the detention facility renovation project. Funding is being transferred from the general fund balance to cover the change orders, which Jonathan Boone just discussed with you.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Davis?
If I understand what we're saying this covers what he just discussed, but something that is coming to us in the future.
The change order you just approved and anticipated change orders in the not-too-distant future in order to complete the project.
And it doesn't include, we've handled everything behind us as far as moving money for change orders. We're just trying to catch this one up and something coming.
That is correct.
Okay. Is it the right thing to do to approve $500 million before we see and get the change order?
Well, just because the funds are in place doesn't mean we necessarily have to expend the funds. This is just keeping us from having to approve 2 project ordinance amendments. But certainly if the board is inclined to improve them incrementally, then we can revise the project ordinance amendment to do so.
What has been our history? It seems our history has been that we approved the change order and then did an ordinance behind it. Have we in the past done ordinances ahead of time anticipating change orders? That feels different to me.
I guess if we say what we have typically done for change orders, then yes, we have, to a certain degree, when the project ordinance amendment has set up, the budget incorporates funds to accommodate change orders, and then we get to a point, hopefully we don't get to a point, but in this case, we did get to a point where the change orders exceeded the funds available, so we've had to incrementally increase the project ordinance in order to account for the change orders. So typically, we would bring these to you, change order, project ordinance amendment, and again, we can continue to do that again. You would see the change order, you would have to approve it, but it's just removing one step. But again, we can amend the project ordinance amendment if that is the desire of the board.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask another question.
Go ahead, Mr.
Manager,
Davis.
You spoke within the last week or so in passing about something we were going to be doing. Is that tied into this particular item right here?
No, sir, not this project.
Okay. I have my preference on how to do that, but I'll let the rest of the board speak.
You done, Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Commissioner Howell?
Just to further discussion that Chairman Davis just mentioned, I have concerns passing the funding before we see the actual details of the change order as well, especially in this amount of money that we're looking at.
Any other questions? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board? Someone would wish to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know how to properly do it, but it would be my preference to approve.
Mr. Boone will help you construct it.
Okay, to approve an ordinance that covers the change order that we just approved, and then in the future, maybe continue to do like we've been doing, which is to do change orders first and then a budget ordinance after the change order.
So the motion would be to amend the project ordinance amendment and the appropriation from fund balance to $53,634.10.
Is that your motion, Mr. Davis?
That is my motion, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howell. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 24. Ms. Easton stays at the podium to present the request. Thank you, Mr. Boone.
No problem.
Okay, the next project ordinance amendment is submitted for the approval of grant funds for the Digital Champion Grant totaling $58,665, awarded by the NC Department of Technology to support digital literacy initiatives in Nash County.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Hearing none, the recommendation is to approve the project budget ordinance amendment. Is there a motion?
Move for approval?
Motion by Commissioner Leggett, second by Commissioner Howell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The motion passes. Ms. Easton stays at the podium. Item number 25, Economic Development Project Ordinance.
This project ordinance is presented to set up the funding and expenditures for the Economic Development Project, totaling $288,000. Funding for the project is from North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management, State Capital Infrastructure Fund, fiscal year 2025, and will be used to extend infrastructure to the Ammons Rail Industrial Site.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Hearing none, the recommendation is to approve the grant project ordinance. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 26. Ms. Easton stays at the podium to present the request. Would you read the request to me, Ms. Easton?
The next project ordinance is from the interest earnings from the North Carolina State Capital and Infrastructure Fund, or SCIF. The Nash County Sheriff's Office was awarded $150,000 from the NC Office of State Budget and Management in July of 2022. The project ordinance was approved by the Commissioners in September 19, 2022. The grant funds were awarded for capital improvements or equipment in the Sheriff's Office and used to assist with the purchase of a Bearcat vehicle to be used for tactical or emergency response. The interest earnings from this grant, totaling $9,261, have not been spent. The amended ordinance allocates the interest earnings in the amount of $9,261 back to this project to be used for the purpose outlined in the scope of work and the grant description. The Sheriff's Office plans to use the interest to upgrade in-car cameras. Once the interest earnings are expended, the grant can be closed out with the NC Office of State Budget and Management.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Hearing none, the recommendation is to approve the grant project ordinance amendment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Howell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 27. Ms. Easton presents the request Sheriff Vehicle Project Ordinance.
Yes, the Nash County Sheriff's Office was awarded $420,000 from the NC Office of State Budget and Management in fiscal year '24. The project ordinance was approved by the Board of Commissioners on May 6, 2024, and the grant funds were awarded for vehicles and vehicle upfit in the Sheriff's Office. The interest earnings for this grant have not been spent, and the amended ordinance allocates the interest earnings in the amount of $15,279 back to this project to be used for the purpose outlined in the scope of work and the grant description. The Sheriff's Office plans to use the interest to upgrade in-car cameras, and once this interest earnings are expended, the grant can be closed out for this one also.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? The recommendation is to approve the capital project ordinance for Sheriff Vehicle Project Ordinance. Is there a motion?
I move.
Moved by Commissioner
Second.
Belfield, second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any other? Any discussion?
I haven't seen these before like this. What has normally happened to interest on grants that's built up? Has it been staying in the general fund, and now this particular department has asked for these funds to be used, which I don't have an issue with, but it's just new to me.
Well, I don't know that we've had, so all the new grants that we've had over the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, the interest earning on ARPA funds, those were my first exposure to
Right.
interest
And
on
I
grants.
do know what we did with those incrementally through there.
Yeah, so I think it is it's kind of new to us. But yeah, this is what we're doing, is putting it back into the department where the funds were being spent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? I think we've got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Move to agenda item number 28, opioid settlement fund project ordinance. Ms. Eason presents the request.
Yes, this project ordinance is presented to set up $830,000 of funding and authorized expenditures from the opioid settlement fund as approved in the previous resolution. These funds are approved for 4 strategies: naloxone distribution at $200,000, recovery support services for $180,000, post-overdose response team for $400,000, and the remaining $50,000 for collaborative strategic planning.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Commissioner Davis?
Could we get a brief update, maybe from Tia, on how much of this funding we've already approved, and then what this is?
Ms. Fuller, you want to come up to the podium and respond?
Sure. Thank you, Melanie. This is no new approval. This is what was already approved in a resolution last year.
My light bulb's going off. Sorry to ask the question, ma'am. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Fuller. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, the recommendation is to approve the project budget ordinance related to opioid settlement funds. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Ms. Eason, agenda item number 29, budget amendments.
Yes, the first budget amendment is for our Braswell Library. It's to budget pass-through grant funds to Braswell Memorial Library from the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, appropriated by the State Budget Act of 2021 for non-recurring state aid totaling $6,037. No county funds are required for this budget amendment. The second one is related to the opioid settlement funds. This budget amendment is just to reverse a previous budget amendment, which I think Mr. Davis may have been referring to. The next one is for senior services. This budget amendment is to budget additional grant funds for the Medicare Improvements for Patients and Providers Act, totaling $4,393,000. No county funds are required. The next budget amendment is for senior services. This budget amendment is to budget additional grant funds for the Senior Health Improvement Information Program, totaling $7,475. No county funds are required for this one. The next one is for social services. This budget amendment is to budget general fund balance appropriation to cover the county portion for foster care room and board of $194,000 and special assistance in-home of $150,000, which totals $344,000 from fund balance, and to appropriate $291,000 foster care room and board funds received by the county. The increase of these mandated services is due to increased cost of living and the elimination of the cap on slots for special assistance, and totals $635,000. Next is for cooperative extension. This budget amendment is to budget additional funds collected in horticulture events to cover the remaining cost for the regional peanut meeting and sweet potato meeting for 24-25, totaling $3,075. No additional county funds are required. The seventh is for asset forfeiture. This budget amendment is to budget asset forfeiture fund balance appropriation to purchase a vehicle and additional travel and training totaling $100,000. The eighth amendment request is for emergency medical services. This budget amendment is to budget insurance proceeds received totaling $24,665 for an EMS 2019 Chevrolet Tahoe previously totaled to combine with other funds to purchase a replacement QRV. The next budget amendment is from fund balance appropriation. This budget amendment is to budget general fund balance appropriation to transfer $500,000 to the detention facility renovation and expansion project, which is related to the one presented from Jonathan Boone earlier, that discussion. So I can change this to the same amount. What was it, 53,000?
This is on number 9, right?
Which one was it?
53,634.10, 53,634.10.
So it would be 53,635.
From 500 to 50 to that number.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's correct. Okay, the next transfer. This budget amendment is to budget the transfer of economic development funds to the Middlesex Shell Building Number 3 as approved in a previous project ordinance, totaling $1,597,084. The next transfer is the budget amendment is to budget the transfer, of ARPA funds to the high-speed internet project as approved in a previous project ordinance, totaling $1,732,657. And the last one, this budget amendment is to budget the transfer of Office of State Budget and Management funds to the NC Rail Build Ready Site program for the Ammons Rail Industrial Park for $288,000 as approved in a previous project ordinance.
Any questions
all.
from the board? Commissioner Davis?
Apologize again, Mr. Chairman. Under 5, social services, I heard you say the words fund balance. Could you explain what fund balance that is we're referring to?
General fund balance, to cover the county's portion, we have to match.
So it does come out of general fund balance. And the amount that's coming out of fund balance is what again?
Is $344,000.
Okay,
Foster care room and board is $194,000.
right.
And for special assistance in-home, $150,000, which totals $344,000.
All right. And that covers the portion that we have to do. I'm caught up on that one.
Correct.
We changed number 9. And number 10. That funding comes from the sale of another Shell building, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? For number 10.
My understanding, that's correct.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other
And that was from a
questions?
previous project ordinance.
Right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, refresh my memory on
Commissioner
the,
Arrington, if you have a question, go ahead.
yeah, refresh my memory on number 11, the ARPA transfer.
That was from a previous approved project ordinance. And this piece did not get presented to the board for approval. The project ordinance was approved.
Oh, I guess, which, where are we taking it from? Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Okay, without objection, we'll approve all of these amendments with one motion. And number 9 is adjusted from the 500 to the 53, some number, I can't remember exactly, but,
635.
okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve all the 12 budget ordinance, which I understand will be changing the number 9 amount to $53,635.
Is there a second?
Correct.
Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Eason.
Thank you.
Move to agenda item number 30. Assistant County Manager Tia Fula will present the request. I think we've got 3 this morning, is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes.
And without objection from the board, we'll take them individually.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Good morning.
First, we will look at the Nash County Board of Adjustment. Mr. Dennis Cobb has resigned from the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Commissioners is therefore asked to appoint a new alternate member, number 3. Mr. Alton M. Richardson has submitted an application for this appointment to the, Mr. Alton M. Richardson has submitted an application for this position for the board's consideration. Both Mr. Cobb and Mr. Richardson reside in Commissioner District Number 1 as represented by Commissioner Arrington. If appointed, Mr. Richardson will serve as the new alternate member, number 3, to serve a 3-year term through April 30th, 2028.
Mr. Arrington, do you have any comments regarding Mr. Richardson?
Mr. Richardson, well, he's my recommendation. He lives in the Spring Hope area. He's a lifetime resident, and I think he'll make a good candidate for this position. He has a family, and he works real hard in his community.
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions on the recommendation? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of Mr. Richardson as a new alternate member, number 3, on the Nash County Board of Adjustments?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Arrington. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Congratulations, Mr. Richardson. I know you'll reach out to him, Mr. Arrington. I'm sure the staff will as well.
All right.
Ms. Fuller?
Yes, next
Continue.
we will address the Nash County Agriculture Advisory Board. Please consider the new appointment of Mr. Samuel Glenn Moore to the Agriculture Advisory Board. Mr. Moore's application has been included in your board packet for review. Mr. Moore, representing Moore Farms, is eligible, willing, and recommended for appointment. If appointed, Mr. Moore will serve a 3-year term through December 31st, 2027.
Mr.
You
Chairman,
want Mr. Belfield?
what district does Mr. Moore
Mr.
reside in?
He is in,
What district?
his address is in Nashville.
I guess that would probably be, that's
Probably Ms. Leggett, I
It'd be
would
District
imagine.
1. It'd be District 1.
It is District 1? Okay.
I just think that as we approve these appointments, we need to know what district they reside in, and that as much as possible, that each district have some representation on all of these boards.
Thank you, Mr. Belfield. I believe these appointments, we reach out to the board, and anyone wishing to make recommendations, then they're welcome to do that. But if you need some information from Ms. Fuller on this one, she can provide it to you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve Mr. Samuel Glenn Moore to the Nash County Ag Board?
Move for
So moved.
approval.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, second by Commissioner Arrington.
All right.
Any discussion needed? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Congratulations, Mr. Moore. I'm sure the staff will reach out to him as well.
Yes.
Next item, Ms. Fuller.
Yes, the final board for consideration today is the Consolidated Health and Human Services Board. Please approve the new appointment for Dr. Richard G. Michael to replace Dr. Abel as the physician member of the board. The Consolidated Human Services Board unanimously voted to approve this nomination during their March meeting. Dr. Michael, whose application is provided in your board packet, is eligible, willing, and recommended for appointment. His 4-year term will run through April 30th, 2029. I do want to say that the Consolidated Health and Human Services Board is actively working to fill several expired term positions. They have board vacancies within the following disciplines: a dentist, optometrist, veterinarian, consumer, and a pharmacist, and they welcome considerations from this body.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Mr. Davis, you wish to make any comments? I believe you are recommending Dr. Michael.
That would be true, sir, and honestly, I don't know what district he lives in. I see he is. I didn't catch this before he put his business address on here. I'm not sure that it really matters, but Ms. Fuller had asked us to help fill these positions. Therefore, I had got Dr. Abel to serve Dr. Michael, and he were partners for many years, and he is now my doctor. Then Dr. Abel retired, and therefore I just talked to him about it, and after some consideration, he agreed to do it, concerned about time, but he has, and I'm sure he'll be very faithful in doing that, so I would recommend his approval.
It's difficult to get some of these positions filled, and I appreciate you recruiting Dr. Michael for this board. Any discussion on this?
Just a comment.
Commissioner Wilkins?
It looks like he is in the Rocky Mount area in Commissioner Bellfield's district.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe his name came up before. I think he may be residing in my district.
That's what I just said. I said he was in your district.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions,
Because the name,
comments
I remember him
regarding
coming up
Dr.
before.
Michael? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bellfield, motion by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion needed? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Congratulations, Dr. Michael. I'm sure Commissioner Davis, you'll reach out to him as well as the staff. Thank you, Ms. Fuller.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Move to agenda item number 31, Commissioner comments. Is there any commissioner who has any comments they wish to make this morning? Commissioner Leggett?
Yes, sir, thank you. As a farmer myself and a commissioner over a largely agricultural district, you hear me often talk about this subject in the spring and in the fall of the season, and that is tractor safety on the highway and watching out for tractors and slow-moving vehicles. This is the time of year when farmers begin to go back to work in the fields to do their land preparation to get ready for spring planting. So here's a few facts in reference to this. Between 2015 and 2019, there were more than 1,000 accidents on North Carolina roads involving farm equipment and vehicles. Many farm vehicles travel less than 25 miles per hour. A car traveling 60 miles per hour would close the gap the size of a football field in less than 5 seconds. Also, left turns are particularly dangerous for farm vehicles. Many tractors and other farm vehicles make wide left turns, which makes it look like they are turning to the right or pulling off the road to allow cars to pass. Never pass a farm vehicle unless you are absolutely certain that it is safe and legal to do so. Farmers understand that everyone's time is important, and driving at 20 miles per hour is not exactly convenient or ideal. By reducing your speed from 65 to 20 miles per hour for only 1 mile only delays you by 2 minutes. So in conclusion, I ask you to pay attention on the highway, to put your phones down, and if you see a tractor, slow down. Thank you.
Commissioner Leggett, any other comments from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wilson.
just 30 seconds. I did attend the NACO Legislative Conference in Washington DC for 4 days, and I just wanted to say I will get an email out to the rest of the board, but I did attend the Rural Action Caucus, which I'm on that committee, and we talked about policy solutions, food insecurities, and a lot of what's going on today, and that Congress, things going on in Congress. So briefly, I will get something out to you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkins.
I also attended that conference, and like I said, it's a legislative conference. And this year, the legislature with the new administration coming in, I think we had less clarity on where we might be going. And I remember I went to the Department of Education Department. He had an empty folder at his desk, but at the same time, I brought back for all my commissioners, this says, My County Works. It's a children's a book that explains how My County works, and I'm going to pass it out. I'm sure you might have some grandkids, but this is one of the better things that was on display there. I appreciate my fellow commissioner allowing me to attend, and thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Belfield?
With apparently the changes and cuts that's going to be done in Washington with the administration and the Congress, I feel that it might put an extra burden on, especially in education, funding where they've been getting federal funds that are probably most likely going to be cut, or they may cut somewhere else to keep the pace with education. I just think we need to start thinking and be prepared and don't let these things fall on us all at once. That I just see that there's going to be an impact on counties, and especially your rural counties in their budget, in preparing budgets to adequately fund the needs of that county. So I think it's something that we need to keep a watch on and be prepared as to what we're going to do. I know there are other private grants, foundations out there that probably would pick up some of the slack, but I just see us facing cuts from federal government.
Thank you, Commissioner Belfield. Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Davis?
I'll just briefly give the report on the housing for last month. The permits equaled $1.7 million worth of commercial projects. The largest one, which is 1.5, was in the Middlesex Industrial Park. We had 49 new home stick-built permits issued and 4 modular permits issued, total of 53 new homes, and there were about 15 different builders, and though the largest number of them were in the southern part of the county, they were throughout the county, as they generally are. And the second comment I'd have, I have an item in closed session on a legal matter that I'd like to request the manager have Emily Moore available to attend when we get to that point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, I have one thing that I wanted to mention this morning. It's a personal thing with me and my family. I want to take a moment to express gratitude for National Kidney Month, which is observed annually in March. It's a time to raise awareness about kidney disease, promote kidney health, and support those affected by kidney conditions. On January 31st, our 22-year-old grandson, Baden Collins, celebrated the 20th anniversary of his kidney transplant. In 2005, at the age of 2, He received a life-saving kidney from his father at Duke. At the time, he was the smallest at 20 pounds to receive a kidney from an adult donor. It's a lifelong journey with many ups and downs, but Baden is doing remarkably well. For that, we are thankful, and our family prays for other families that would be on a similar journey. Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners?
Thank you for those comments.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pray for Baden. Now we'll go to agenda item number 32, the manager's report.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Last week, we began to sit down with our department heads to have our individual department budget meetings. We'll be working through the rest of those the remainder of this week. It'll be a very busy week this week. Citizens Academy starts next Tuesday. They'll have 8 classes ending on May 19th with graduation. We will be reaching out to schedule small budget meetings with board members the end of this month. We're looking towards the 26th, 27th to schedule those meetings, so we'll be in touch to get those scheduled with you all. On April 3rd in the morning, we are the host sponsor for the Triangle Business Journal's Corridors of Opportunity at the Rocky Mountain Mills. That event is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then that afternoon on April 3rd, from 2 to 3:30, NCACC is hosting virtually the district meeting. I did learn that in order for NCACC to accommodate our neighbors to the west and be consistent across the state, they've chose to move that to a virtual platform this year. Although we have our April meeting before this event, I wanted to go ahead and share it for your calendars. The Farm Bureau Legislative Breakfast is on Thursday, April 10th at 8 a.m. at the Farm Bureau office in Nashville. Again, that's Farm Bureau Legislative Breakfast, Thursday, April 10th at 8 a.m. You have a question?
I have a correction of that. It's
Oh.
actually going to be held at Leggett Farms in Sandy Cross.
Oh, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, and we will get those addresses out to you as we get further into the month. Okay, and we do have good news. We've offered the position of our finance director, and it's been accepted by Nikki Stanton. She will be joining us April the 14th as her start date, and I have asked if she could come to your April 7th board meeting so that we can introduce her to the board. And so she will be here for your April 7th board meeting for an introduction. And this year, we will be celebrating our 20th year of operating our Nash County Farmers Market. You are cordially invited to attend opening day on April 5th at 9 a.m. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony at 9 to mark the completion of the newly renovated kitchen at that site. So if you'll mark your calendars for April 5th, we're going to have a celebration of the 20th year of operation and a ribbon cutting on the new kitchen. And that's all I have.
Would you see that all of those items with invitations for the board are sent out in an email or something?
I'll do that.
Okay. On the April 3rd virtual meeting, does any member of the board plan to participate in that virtual meeting? If we do, I wonder if we should come out here and just,
We can do it.
I'm just
Be
asking
glad
the
to do a
board's
group.
thoughts on that.
With the explanation I just received, I probably will. I didn't like the idea of that, but I now understand a little bit better why they're doing it that way, so.
I did look at the agenda too, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of reporting out to the members that'll be on that platform rather than trying to engage and interact, so.
That's a meeting that we've gone to many times in the past as
Yes.
a group personally, but would we need any kind of special meeting? We haven't in the past, we just gather and listen.
Could we keep it optional?
Yeah.
We could
I
come
mean,
here.
that's up to you if you wish to attend.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll
I
make it
mean,
available.
optional whether we do it remote or come over here.
Well, I'm just asking, does anybody wish to come over here and gather? If not, I mean, I can do it from home, that's fine with me. What's the board's pleasure? Do you want it set up over here, or you just on your own?
No.
Okay, everybody's
Not
on their
sure,
own.
so-
Just put out the date so we'll all remember what time and where and so forth,
Well,
okay?
board members, please know that staff will be on in our offices, so anybody who does need to come in and join one of us, you're welcome to do that.
Could you give us that date and time again?
That's April 3rd. That morning, we will be at the Rocky Mount Mills for the Triangle Business Journal's Corridor of Opportunities, and that's for Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties. And the NCACC virtual meeting is that afternoon from 2 to 3:30,
And you're going to put that,
That's April 3rd,
April 3rd.
at Rocky Mountain Mills, you said from 2 to 3:30.
No, sir. April 3rd in the morning,
Okay,
from 8 to 10,
okay,
is the Triangle Business Journal's Corridors of Opportunity. That's at the Rocky Mount Mills.
okay.
April 3rd in the afternoon, from 2 to 3:30, is our virtual NCACC district meeting.
The district meeting will be, Nash County hosting that?
No, sir, no, but it will be virtual. It'll be online.
Okay. Got it.
and again, you're going to put that out in an
I
email,
will
right?
send it all out, yes.
Okay, any other questions for the manager? Hearing none, we'll move to agenda item number 33, it's a closed session. I now call for a motion to go into closed session for economic development and attorney-client privilege.
So
Make a
moved.
motion, sir.
Moved by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Howell. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Mr. Gainer, do we expect any action out of closed session? Thank you, sir. We'll now move into closed session. All right, I want to call the meeting back to order. There is no additional action to be taken by the board from our closed session, so that concludes our business for today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Belfield,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wilkins. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. We stand adjourned.